have people join when they can. In the meantime, we're going to have a very nice, cordial conversation about how to talk to your clients when you are asked about short sales and foreclosures. Who here, raise of hands, has been asked about foreclosures or short sales, and your first response was, "I don't know how to answer this question." Um, if it's happened to you, you're not alone. Here's what we're going to, I'm going to basically equip you today to have that conversation with your buyers or sellers, whichever the case may be, if they are asking you and inquiring about how do I capture foreclosures or short sales, how do I get involved in these? And the answer is going to be different depending upon whether they're buyers or sellers or what their motives are. So we're going to talk about all of those options. All right. But you as the agent need to be equipped to be able to, they're going to ask you about them. You need to know how to be able to answer them and what you can and cannot do to help them when it comes to foreclosures and short sales. Okay. So having said that, I'm going to launch, unless anybody's got any burning questions going into this, I'll go ahead and launch into my my slideshow here and we'll get rolling. Anybody got anything? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Okay, I'm going to go to, hang on, I got to fix the right screen to share. How to respond to clients asking about foreclosures and short sales. Let's launch right straight into it. The first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to kind of break this into two separate sections. First, we'll talk about foreclosures, and then we'll talk about short sales. And we're going to approach this from big picture right down to small picture. All right, so let's just look at just general definitions, just so we're all clear and on the same sheet of music. It should be pretty obvious, but a foreclosure is the action of taking possession of a mortgaged property when the mortgagor fails to keep up on their mortgage payments. Okay, the foreclosure home is the actual house that the repossession process has begun, and the home is being liquidated by the bank. Okay, another term that is often affiliated with foreclosures is, and you'll hear this often, REO, which is real estate owned, which is a general term for real estate that is owned by either the company or an entity after the foreclosure process has taken place. Okay, so it's owned by the bank, the mortgagor, the federal government, some entity, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all of the above is real estate owned terminology. All right. Any questions on that so far? Bring it on. All right. So now when you are asked about foreclosures, you got to think about one in your own mind, and then also be able to relay this to your client is, where are we right now? What is the climate with regards to foreclosure in the current post-pandemic environment that we live in? Well, we are coming off of 2 years of basically eviction moratoriums as a result of the pandemic or COVID-19. So as a result of all of the activities and all of the federal rules and regulations, IRS rules and regulations, all of those things, there have been moratoriums on evictions to give people chances to recover in this economic scenario that we are in. So the result of where we are at in this post-pandemic climate is there is very, very, very historically low foreclosure inventory. So if you do a search right now today in MLS under FMLS under all of Metro Atlanta for searches that are for homes that are in foreclosure, there are a total of only 19 homes that are listed as in foreclosure. REO has 113 homes, and short sale FMLS currently has 7 homes. That is pretty low. Okay. Those are just examples of exactly how low they are. All right. So before we again talk about how to talk to a client about it, we're still covering just basic steps and basic information about foreclosures. Let's look at the foreclosure, the steps of the foreclosure process. So these are very, very basic and very general. So think about this, and these are going in order and kind of a flow from 1 to 7 on this particular slide. Okay, so the first thing that happens is an owner of a home has missed payments. They are going to receive notifications multiple times, both from the lender, and then they're going to receive notifications about their status, and it's actually going to be posted in the newspaper according to Georgia law about the foreclosure process. Notifications are going to take place. Okay. Those notifications are going to say you have until X period of time to pay. Otherwise, your home is going to be foreclosed upon, and they'll give details of when. And that usually is done via a county or a municipality foreclosure auction. Okay. Those are, each county is a little bit different, but they typically are held once a month. They may do it on a different schedule depending upon the volume that they have. But auctions that take place are typically cash only options. Okay. Then after the home is sold, or sometime during this process, it could be before, during, or after, there's usually an eviction taking place. Possession is going from the person that was unable to maintain their payment schedule, and it reverts back to either the loan, the lender, the bank, the mortgage entity. Okay. And then it begins REO processing. Okay, so what is REO processing? It's usually the eviction. It is cleaning up the house. It is having maintenance done. It is turning off utilities. It's things like winterizing the home, preparing it basically for relisting it and selling it to someone else. So there's an entire REO process that is taking place. If you want to know more about this, you can talk to folks like Dwayne and Mike and Karen, because this is basically how our company, the roots of our company started. All right. The end result after that REO processing is an REO company or someone hired by the REO company typically is going to either list the home on the MLS, and they're going to do so as an REO property, or they might actually revert to some auction sites. So we're going to talk about those options, those steps too. All right, so these are kind of the flow and the steps of the process. Does anybody have any questions about, these are big picture, and there's likely to be slight variances based off of counties and municipalities, but this is kind of the flow of the way things go. Okay. So when somebody asks you, can you help me to find a foreclosure home? A lot of times what they are asking and what they may visualize is you may be able to help them find a home that is going through this process, is early in the game, and maybe is coming up on a foreclosure auction. And they just don't even know enough information to know whether or not that's something that they could take advantage of. So a lot of times people think that that your involvement as a realtor is going to be somewhere in and around step 3 of this 7-step process. The reality of it is your involvement is probably not going to be really until you get down to around step 7 of this. Okay, and we're going to talk about more about that in just a minute, so we'll kind of make sure you all are comfortable with that flow. All right. So at the courthouse, out the county foreclosure auction, that is, you will often hear that termed as on the courthouse steps. Okay, and it's oftentimes the first Tuesday of each month. And people that go down to the courthouse steps to purchase homes at the foreclosure auctions are typically doing so with cash and cash only. And there is no such thing as getting a mortgage to be able to go and bid on a home at an auction. It just doesn't happen. All right. So one of the easiest questions that you can ask a client as you're qualifying them if they're asking you about foreclosures is the easiest question to ask is, are you going to be paying cash or are you going to buy a mortgage? And 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, well, I'm I need a mortgage. I wish I could pay cash, but I need the mortgage. In that case, then going down to the courthouse steps is really not an option for you simply because you need a mortgage. So typically investors are the ones that are going to be purchasing homes at the county courthouse steps auctions. Could a homeowner that has cash available do it? Yes, I think there's some registration processes. Each municipality is going to have their own rules and regulations about how that process works. You might be able to help them facilitate it, but the reality of it is there's no money in it for you. If you're going to the courthouse steps, there's no way for you to really be of utility to them, right? So you may or may not be able to help them in that respect. All right, so how do you respond to them? You're going to ask some very pointed questions, and they are these. Will you be paying cash or using a mortgage? Why are you interested in a foreclosure? Oftentimes, the only reason that you'll find that they're interested in a foreclosure is they're looking for a bargain. Somebody told them, oh, you can get more house for your money if you're willing to take a home that needs a little extra paint or needs some plumbing work or needs a little extra work. That's great, but finding a bargain, a foreclosure home, and going down to the courthouse steps may not be the best way to find it. Okay, there's other ways that you can find it, and we'll talk about that here in a second. And then you can ask them, do you know how the foreclosure or the REO process works? And then you can use that as kind of your platform to explain the steps of the process that I just explained further up. Okay. So you're going to then explain to them what the foreclosure process is and where it is that you can help them. I can definitely help you with finding an REO home. Okay, not necessarily helping you finding a home at the courthouse steps, but I can definitely find you homes that have gone through this REO process and are now being handled by another real estate agent, are listed in the MLS, are placed on auction sites. This is where you can find utility to help them. Okay. So once you have explained to them the process, then you can set them up on a Real Scout search or an MLS search using the listing conditions filter, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. And you can also potentially direct them to some auction websites. I just wrote down a handful of them, couple of them that I've used in the past. Hubzoo.com, foreclosure.com, and auctions.com. Are ones that you are likely to see being utilized here in the MLS, in the Metro Atlanta area. All right. So, and here is a perfect example of a home that I literally pulled this off the MLS this morning. And this is a home that is being currently scheduled for an online auction. And this is the way that you can go about helping a client with a home that appears here. So you can still place an offer on a home. You're just not doing it through the typical manner. You're registering to bid for them on an auction. Has anybody on this call, I'm gonna take it off of screen share here. Has anybody on this call, has anybody ever bid on an auction for anybody before? You have, Mike? Miguel? Tell me about it. How did it go? You're on mute, by the way.
Well, we went to check it out. It was beginning of last year, and it was just to learn. And it goes quick from 90,000 to 200,000, really fast, just like in the movie. It's boom.
Yep.
200,000.
So you've done an actual auction where there's an auctioneer at the front doing verbal.
Yeah, in the court steps in Lawrenceville.
Okay, interesting. The type of auctions that you typically see that I just showed you on this, through sites like Hubzu, there typically are not the verbal auctions like we were talking about. They are an online auction.
Yeah,
Think
online.
eBay for real estate.
They do both. They do it live and it's auction.com, and they do
Okay.
it like live in
Ah,
the.
I
Sometimes
didn't
they
realize
even
they had
say,
voice too.
wait, that you can somebody bid in the online, and then they give you a number and everything. You just go there,
Yeah.
and they explain that it has to be cash. You cannot even go to the bank and get a check. No.
Yep.
It has to be a
Absolutely.
wire transfer right away in there. 2 hours you have to arrange whatever. And if not, they'll give it to the other person.
True. Very, very true. Okay, well, I've done them too. Thank you, Miguel. I appreciate that.
My
I've done
pleasure.
an online auction, and I actually registered and I did the bidding on an online auction, and we actually won. This was for a condo in downtown Atlanta, in the Healy building, and it worked great. My clients were willing to pay the fees. There are additional fees above and beyond your commission. Um, and my buyers were actually willing to pay a total of 8%. My 3% plus 5% that the auction charged. So, can there be good deals out there? Yes, there certainly can. And your clients can take advantage of those. All right, I'm going to share my screen again, go back to here.
Jay, I missed it. How did you find that?
Say that again.
How did you find that? How did you search for it? I missed that part.
I am going to show you. Actually, you're segueing perfectly into this. Is the next slide. You're looking at the screen now. Special listing conditions. Notice auction, HUD owned, in foreclosure, REO, or short sale. All right. So special listing conditions, you can go in and filter based off of these criteria to look for those specific homes. Okay. That answer your question, Tippy?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I love it. All right. So that is about all I have to say about foreclosures. Does anybody, did I leave any gaps? Anybody have any questions about foreclosures before we dive into short sales real quick?
Yeah, I was just curious. So, because technically your clients could have kind of done it on their own, like they've done the auction, why didn't they?
Because they want, so the people that I'm talking about, my particular scenario, they were repeat clients. So
Okay.
I had done business with them before. They knew me. They contacted me. They wanted my guidance throughout the every step of the process, and that's what I was able to do for them.
Okay.
And frankly, they didn't know that they could do it all on their own. They wanted
Okay.
somebody to hold their hand, and that's what you can do for them.
Okay. I was just because, yeah, technically they could have done it by themselves, right? But
Yep, they sure could have.
okay.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. All right. All right. So this is where we go. So now we're going to dive into short sales. Okay. First off, definition of a short sale. Wouldn't be a slide presentation if you didn't have definition somewhere on there. The short sale is the scenario is the owner of the home owes more for the paper. They owe more on the mortgage than what the home is worth based off of current market value. Okay, so scenarios that could take place in, they drastically overpaid for the home in the seller's market that was ridiculous over the summertime. It could be that they've owned the home for 5 years and they've taken a cash out refi on it every year for the last 5 years and pulled all the equity out. It could be that the neighborhood went to hell in a handbasket overnight and the market values have decreased dramatically. All of those scenarios could be the case. The short sale process, by definition, is the process to seek the approval of the lender to be able to sell the home for less than the owed value. In other words, I owe more on the property than what it is worth. I still want to get out from underneath of it, but I need Mother May I permission from the lender to sell it for less than what I owe them. And consequently, how are they going to handle that in the process? All right. So short sales, I've already showed you how to look for them in that previous slide under the listing conditions. But short sale homes typically are listed in the MLS as either being an approved short sale or a potential short sale. And there's a clear differentiation between the two. Approved short sale means the lender's application for the short sale has already been submitted and it has been approved by by the lender. The only requirement left is to find the right buyer, to get a contract for the home and submit it. And assuming that it has been that it meets all of the lender's criteria, then it is likely to be finally approved. Okay. If it's not approved, if it's listed in there as a potential short sale, then you could be looking at potentially weeks to months, and there's no guarantee that the lender will approve any short sale. They may not even know about it at this point. Regardless, with either one, foreclosure or short sale, work very, very closely with the lender and with the listing agent for that matter, to make sure that you are complying with everything and that you're building your timelines appropriately. All right. So here's some examples. This is what you are looking for. This is pulled off the MLS this morning. Here's one at 429 that is under contract, and I love this language. This is a pre-approved short sale. No foreclosure date has been set. Short sale is pre-approved, in this case by Penny Mac. This is a great scenario, and this is one that I personally would feel a little bit more comfortable under this scenario than in this one. Okay, this is just a simple potential short sale. And there's no language in here that indicates that the lender has already received the package. All this is saying is that essentially this client is in trouble, or the seller is in trouble. They need help. They need a buyer quickly. They may be potentially desperate for it. And things like a house is sold as is another flag to indicate that this home may be problematic. Okay. Any questions on this so far? If you do agree to a short sale, there's likely to be some additional documentation involved, including this document, which is a short sale contingency exhibit, which is just an acknowledgement from you if you're representing a buyer and you're submitting an offer on a home that is listed as a short sale. You're basically acknowledging in this document that that it is a short sale, that the timelines may need to be flexible, and you do have a right to terminate after a certain amount of time. Okay. For short sales, I believe the way that the short sale works is until the short sale is actually approved, you do not have to put your earnest money down. So in other words, right here, this item number 4 is that the earnest money is not necessarily due until the lien holders has been approved. So in other words, the bank has said approval, that's when the earnest money is due. There's no reason to tie up the earnest money until it's been approved. Okay, questions on that? So let's talk about big picture client expectations. If you have a client and they are interested in either foreclosure or short sale, the key for them from an expectation standpoint is patience is going to be key. There is likely to be time delays. There are likely to be, closing delays. The key word is compromise. If you're going to get a foreclosure or a short sale home, you might get a bargain, but you are probably going to have to compromise on something somewhere, i.e. time frame. You're going to have to potentially have some additional expenses for things like utility connections, repairs. Sellers are in a foreclosure or short sale scenario, they're unlikely to want to make repairs. So that's usually going to fall on the buyer. And now let's talk about from some expectations on your side as the agent. in a buyer brokerage agreement, when you've got uncertainties such as, or in a scenario where you're dealing with short sales and foreclosures, a buyer brokerage agreement is going to be really key, in my opinion, to make sure that the client doesn't flake on you and go somewhere else. Okay. Because those things are possible and you want them to be in it for the long term. All right. The other thing that you may see on some of these, whether it's be a short sale or commission, is language in there. They will often say things like the commission is likely to be split 50% based off of whatever the lender allows. So the lender may only allow 2% instead of the 3% that you've written into your agreement. So a special stipulation, often listing agents will write in there that the listing agent and the buyer agent are automatically going to split whatever's available. Whatever the lender agrees to, whether it be 2%, 1%, we're going to split it regardless. And if that is written into the MLS and you've submitted an offer for it, you've agreed to accept exactly that as your payment. Okay. What questions does everybody have? Did I confuse anybody? Clear as mud. If anybody doesn't have any questions, I'll let y'all go.